The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The human postponer. They were the master of one phrase. I'll circle back on that. But 3 months later, you were the one doing all their work and wondering how big that circle is. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can take the hiring load off your plate. By automating the hiring busy work from the initial job post to scheduling interviews. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in-minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
Welcome to the Interviews Podcast. Welcome, Interisti, to episode 213 of the Interviews Podcast. We are here for the post-match reaction of Inter Monza, which finishes 4-1 to the hosts at the San Siro. Goals from, I don't have it pulled up. Guys, sorry, I got to get the shake off the cobwebs, just like Inter. Goals from Hakan Çalhanoğlu in the 6th minute. Gustavo Varela in the 29th, Zielinski in the 48th, Pio Esposito in the 55th, and Jan Bisek in the 63rd. To start off Inter's Serie A campaign with 3 points, +3 on the goal differential. And after what was a shaky, not so great first half, completely turned it around as far as the feelings are concerned. As always, I'm one half of your co-hosting duo, Alessandro Rafa, joined here by Gianni Paterno. Gianni, opening statement from you on what ultimately was an asphalting of the Serie A newcomers, Monza.
Yeah, thrilled with the response in the second half. I thought that we did a lot of things well in that second half. I thought a lot of the players stepped their games up, stepped their performances up, and were able to really put a team-first approach. And I think that's one thing that we as fans can really take away and enjoy from these, is I think the team just seems to really come out and want to support one another. And some players, were incredible today. I mean, in particular, the first name that comes to my mind is Pio, and just everything that he did. I think he made a lot of other people's jobs much easier today. I think he's going to be a menace this season for the league, and I can't wait to see, what the next 37 games look like for him. But loved it from all the guys, and I cannot say enough good things, really. Like, yeah, there was moments that you could be negative, but that's if you really want to be nitpicky. We won 4-1. I said 4-0. I'll still take it. Listen, 3 points is 3 points, and you wanna come out swinging. So great start.
I couldn't agree more, especially with the Pio point. I think there's a very strong argument that was his best game in an Inter shirt. And
without a doubt.
Yeah, it should be something that gives not only Interisti excitement, but also just, Azzurri supporters in general. He was a monster, an absolute monster today. And we'll get into it. Johnny, I was thinking we do kind of a new, different format going into the season. We'll play it by ear. We'll see how it goes.
I love when Alessandro surprises me with things and then he does it match day one. We didn't text about this. We didn't talk about this. He's like, let me just throw the new not even give him an opportunity to prepare. So let's go. Let's dive right into it.
And I have good reason for why you don't know anything about this, because it came to my mind 5 minutes after full time, and we jumped on 2 minutes later. So that's it. That's where we're going to try this season.
All right.
So I'm thinking we go with 2 different segments. So one is going to be the Pride of San Siro segment, where we talk about all the things that we loved during the game. I'll bring up some topics. It'll be kind of a buy or sell like we've done in the past. And then depending on what happened during the game, we'll switch over to the underreaction or the overreaction segment, which is sort of the less exciting stuff, and then we'll talk about the players and get out of here. So, first off, pride of San Siro, number one. Let's talk about our expectations for Francesco Pio Esposito today. Buy or sell, Pio is the best target man in Serie A for this upcoming season.
Ooh. Try to think about other strikers around the league who are considered target men. And it doesn't mean just because you're a tall guy, you're a target man. You know what? I will buy it, and I'm not going to do that as recency bias or as Inter favoritism or anything like that. I think if you really look at it objectively and what strikers are there, like, I wouldn't consider Colomuani a target man, right? I wouldn't consider Rasmus Højlund a target man. I wouldn't consider Gianluca Scamacca a target man. And these are guys who are a little bit taller, a little bigger builds. Well, maybe not so much Højlund, but the other two more so. And you would think with the height that Scamacca has, he would be more of a target man. He isn't really. He's better with the ball played to his feet. He's not so strong in the air. If you look at his goal catalog, there's not really a big amount of headers in there. So, and I'm not saying that's the only thing that defines a target man. You have to be able to hold up play, though. You have to be able to be strong and hold off defenders. And Scamacca and those others don't really play with their backs to goal, especially Rasmus Højlund. And when I think about, maybe Gonzalo Ramos might be considered a target man. I really haven't seen enough of him to consider that, though, and that could be my lack of interest in watching PSG play games, or even when he was at Benfica, I don't really recall anything like that. So, yeah, I think it's a safe thing to say, and I expect big things from him. I'm not going to give you an exact goal number, but I did put a little bet out there on his season total. So we'll see. We'll see if he does it.
The reason that I ask is because I actually don't think that there is another profile quite like him in the league. This used to be a league that was very target man heavy, and now it's kind of moved on from that. The nines are either very technical, kind of shadow striker types, players, or they're poachers. You look at the best strikers in the league, Malin, very different than Pio. Lautaro, obviously very different than Pio. I think he truly is a unique profile, and one that is incredibly useful for Inter, to the point where you might consider him as a starting option over Thuram at some point this season. I think he links up well with both of them, and I think he might make both of them even better players than when he's not off the pitch. And he also gives Inter the option to break the press and play out of a little bit of danger if they can just go to him, and he can the ball dies with him, and he just it literally stops with him, and he's impossible to take the ball over. I could see potential for Pio working his way into this starting 11 full time.
I think that's a bold statement. I don't think it's crazy, but I think it's a little bold, and I think we'd be doing ourselves a bit of a disservice if that is the intentions. Because, you know what? I don't even want to get into this right now. It's match day one. Why am I even going there? Yeah, if that happens, fantastic. Listen, I love the kid. He's the home kit that I want to get this season, and whenever I make a trip out to Milano, I plan on buying not only his kit, but maybe the Sucic away kit. And if we have the third ones out, I'm actually leaning towards a Curtis Jones one, because I'm really excited about him. But Pio, I think is going to be. Listen, he's going to definitely be rotated in, right? There are going to be matches where he starts, whether it's Coppa Italia, whether it's Champions League. We have the weapons in terms of the firepower between the all four strikers. You can, allow one to step in, and maybe he does take more minutes away from Marcus Thuram at some point. But I think it's a good problem to have, right? And if you were watching the game on Paramount, they did say that during the match that we have a good difficult decision for Christian Kibu to have to work through. And if he ends up taking over more minutes, listen, with a performance like that, it's not far-fetched to think that that's possible. So,
yeah. And I think it's even more crucial that he's come out of the gate on this level of form, because you do have a Lautaro that's returning from, the World Cup final, despite having not played. He's returning from a long World Cup campaign. Same thing with Thuram. And then you have Bundy, who's just better off the bench to begin with. So I think, the reason why I say, like, are we looking at the potential for Pio getting into this starting lineup this season and solidifying himself, is because at the start of the season, at the very least, he's probably going to have a lot of runway to continue to do what he did today and really just make it a no-brainer decision for Kivu. Did you see anything from his game today that was different from what you saw last year, or improved from what you saw last year?
yeah, I think improvement-wise, I think staying up on both feet, not going down on the first contact. I think he really did a great job of holding off Lucchese there with, he was riding him and grabbing his jersey so much that he could have easily gone down. And I don't think anybody would have faulted him, especially when it'd be, more obvious that there was like a foul there. In the past, it would have just been an easy first contact down, where you want him to be able to use his strength and his size to his advantage and be able to, to allow players to roll into the attack as well. I thought that his layoff play was very good. I mean, he maybe misplayed one or two passes, but that's expected. He's not going to be perfect by any means, but I thought he did a good job linking up with Boni on a few opportunities. He laid off a pass to, Lautaro multiple times. We saw the one to Diouf that led to the goal for Hakan, and then another one that got played off to Sucic that he then played back to Sucic played to Bisek. Like, there was just so many great secondary assists, as we would call them in hockey and stuff, that he really had a part in. And it's good to see that improvement. You see the creativity with the flair on the goal that he scored. I think that, he might not have done something like that last season. Not saying he didn't have it in his locker. I just don't think he would have had the confidence to try something like that. So, yeah, I mean, listen, the maturity that you see in his game, the way that he seems to be developing, and obviously when you have Kivu, who's instilling a level of trust and value in a player of that age, and making him feel like he is a part, like a core part of this team, I think that goes a long way too in his development.
And I think one of the more exciting things to come from his game for me today was, in the first half, he was doing that thing that he did last year where he's getting mugged and he's kind of looking for the ref to, like, call the foul and bail him out of the situation. And then in the second half, he just played through it. He was just like, all right, it's almost as if he started pretending like the ref wasn't there. The ref wasn't going to give him anything for the contact. He just played through getting mugged, and it worked much, much better. That's what he should be doing. That's what he should have been doing from the start. It's like, just play as if the ref's not there. You're getting mugged. It is what it is. You are strong enough to hold off these guys. His touch feels like it's gotten better. Like you said, the link-up play has gotten better. Obviously scoring a backheel goal today. That was just like a veteran performance, and I think he's going to be one of the most important players for this team this season. Really, really excited for him. All right. Second pride of the San Siro, Gianni. This summer, you told everyone, calma, when it comes to that left-footed Frenchman that is our new starting right wing back for the time being. Today, Andy Diouf, 2 assists, a beautiful cutback in the first half, a quick change of direction to lay it off for Hakan, who obviously does the heavy lifting there with that banger of a goal. But then in the second half, completely deleting his man on the Pio goal, like just really taking them out to the point where I don't know how many players in the squad that we have that can do that. I believe Curtis has got that in his game. Let's see, Spence has the ability to do some stuff like that too. But Andy Diouf, hot preseason, hot start to the season, buy or sell. This is a guy who's going to contribute massively to Inter's season.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to definitely contribute massively offensively. I think that what he's able to do dribbling-wise, passing-wise, the willingness to take on his man, and I think that also helps free up space for other guys to be able to run into when you do beat your man off the ball. It's great to see. I mean, I don't think any of us, I mean, you or I, really wanted to see him fail or see him not be successful. Like, that does alleviate some pressure on a guy like Piero, who, may have missed on Luis Enrique, but you have a guy that seems to be, although being used out of position, seems to be successful in that role. I hope that he continues to develop. I really hope that he develops his defensive side of his game, because I feel like that's going to be a determining factor on if he plays in the bigger matches, whether it be against a Juve, a Milan, and stuff like that. Like, you're going to need to be able to have both facets of your game there and be turned on, because if you're caught sleeping, that'll burn you in the end, and then what? So I don't want his confidence to be shot either. But yeah, the 2 assists, beautiful. I mean, like you said, on the first one, cutting back, keeping on his left foot, laying it off. And to also remember, like, the importance of, like, the weight on it too, right? Like, not overshooting it to him, or putting too much pace on the pass, because then it probably, is something where Hakan runs onto it. And he may take the same shot, but it may sail over the crossbar because of the amount of pace that's on it. So yeah, perfectly weighted at that one. And like you said, deleting his guy on the second one and laying it off to Pio and getting the assist on that goal. I mean, beautiful. I think, not trying to, like, be negative with it either. I think you do have, like you said, have to give credit to the scorers on both goals, really. Like, I mean, to have the technical acumen to be able to take a shot like that from distance. I mean, we know that he's got that in his locker. Hakan, like, that's pretty much all he does is score outside the box bangers. And then Pio to have the confidence to even try a back heel flick on that one, to put it in. Like, so listen, both assists at the end of the day, thrilled for him, happy for him. I want to see him continue to grow and develop his game, and I'm excited with what I saw in this first one.
The thing with Diouf is that he has no path to minutes in the midfield. It's as a right wing back. That's what if he wants to play, that's what he needs to adapt to. So he needs to have productive games like this. And outside of those 2 actions, the 2 assists, it wasn't a particularly impressive game from him. I think he looked a little bit, more dangerous in the first half. And then, he just didn't have a ton of space, or I don't think he got much time on the ball today. But when he did have opportunities to make an impact, he made the impact, because he does have skills that, the rest of this team does not have. So this is what he needs to do. And also, as far as his growth is concerned, not only do you only really have a path to minutes by accepting this right wing back responsibility, but now you have a real contender for minutes, because Luis Enrique outright is not a real contender for Diouf. I mean, I think Diouf has established that he's just way more effective out there. But Spence comes in, like, that's gonna have to push you to be your best every time out. So I'm happy for Diouf today. I'm excited what he can do for us this season. The next pride of the San Siro is going to go to 2 of our youngsters off the bench. Sucic, immediate impact, immediate change of pace. Frankly, kind of needed change of pace, and we'll talk about why a little bit later on. And then Bonni, he was, like, possessed. That was that work rate, off the ball work rate, the pressing, the, like, chasing his man down. That was definitely different than what we saw last year. What did you think of the 2? I don't want to call them youngsters, but 2 of the guys that are definitely fighting for minutes with the veterans.
Yeah, I don't think I could say enough good things about Sucic. Like, I think anyone who knows me knows he's one of my favorite players at this club, and knows that I've rated him since before he even got here. And to see the impact that he had immediately once he came on, it felt like he was able to really control things much better in the midfield, and allowed other guys to press up a little bit more and feel a little more free themselves. So that's great for them. And I just love, he always seems to have the right attitude too, right? It doesn't look like he's bothered by coming off the bench. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a point where he's going to want to be a starter, which I think we all hope for, but he doesn't seem to, like, let it affect him or let it take him out of his element. Last season, early on, we would say that, yeah, he needs to start to be able to grow into the game, whereas now he's able to have that immediate impact, which wasn't the case early last season. So love that. Bonni, I mean, the work rate, like you said, fantastic. That wasn't even something we were seeing in preseason. So to see it in match day 1, that's awesome. I think he knew to, like, hey, I don't really have to go full speed here in preseason. It's really just getting up to speed on things. But once the match days start to become official, that was a different attitude, and I loved it. I think he could have had an assist. I think if he played a pass sooner to Sucic, who was making a run into the box, he did try to take just a little too many dribbles to try to beat his man, and then allowed the Monza defender to get in the way of the pass. But other than that, I mean, I thought a great performance by him. Loved what I saw. And again, another weapon that we can have off the bench, another weapon of a player who can, start if we need him to be, and maybe have more, of these types of games against a Monza, against a Lecce or a Venezia, where he's able to really play from the get-go, allowing some, Lautaros and Turams to maybe rest. But yeah, it's good to see. I love that these guys are getting minutes and getting making the most of the opportunities that are given to them. So yeah,
they also, I really strongly feel that these are two of our absolute best weapons off the bench to bring into the game. Sucic immediately changes the pace of the game because he just wants to play fast. He's not like Barella, Hakan, and Zielinski, who at times can get into this mode of like recycling possession and not necessarily playing with high tempo and pushing forward. Sucic is not like that at this point in his career. He's just like jacked up. You could tell he's still young. Like he's just jacked up to be on the pitch. Also defensively, he was really good today. He won both of his ground duels. I think he had 3 or 4 recoveries of the ball in the midfield. So he was really good. And then Bunny is a real weapon off the bench, especially against tired legs. Like he is forward thinking, has the skills to take you on, and also is a big body. Like he can also get in there and challenge for a ball and be a problem. Quick player. I mean, he's he was great today. Very happy for both of those guys off the bench. Where do I want to go next? Let's head over to the overreaction corner here. Because there's several things today that, we don't necessarily have to complain or bitch about, but we can touch on. And I think the best place for us to start is this. I don't know. I think Sharma tweeted that it was arrogance, and a little bit of overconfidence. I think in that first half, it had a lot to do with not yet switching on from preseason to the start of the season. Like it kind of took that first half in order for them to realize like, oh, okay, this is now a competitive fixture. One game problem or something we may have to deal with for the year, because we've seen it with this Inter side at times in the past.
I think to be more on the optimistic side, I'll say one game problem. I think that, listen, Sharma has said it before. I think we have said it as well, that there were some concerns with Akanji as a center back, that we weren't sure that if he was the right person to take over that role. Yeah, like I think you're coming right out of preseason, you're just really getting into the flow of a 38-game season. So I'm not going to hit panic just yet. We do have, John Stones, who maybe, we had said maybe he does take up that role as a center back at some point. Maybe he's able to, take over that. Akanji maybe slots out further on the right side on days that maybe you give Bisek a rest or whatever the case may be, if you want to rotate John Stones in. So yeah, I'm not gonna overthink that quite yet and worry about it. It's something you listen, you're allowed to get upset with it. I wasn't too excited to give up a goal to Monza. I mean,
yeah,
especially with how decimated that lineup was. Although Varela looked, like a pretty good player.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, credit to him for the goal there. But it's not going to be thinking the worst or thinking that this could be, a trend. Let's see how we do in like one of the bigger matches. If that's something that gets exposed or something that you could see teams are targeting, then maybe that's something to really discuss at that point. But right now, just a first game of the season blip. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just a matter of shaking off the cobwebs. But you do bring up something that is kind of the second concern that this game opened up for me. I think I already had this in the back of my mind, but wasn't really willing to buy into it. But there is a chance that Akanji is not the right profile for center back, and that he's much better as a right center back, and that the actual pairing that needs to occur is Akanji Pavard as right center back, and Bisek Stones in the middle. I think I'm maybe 70% of the way there on that idea. Do you see it like that as well?
Oof, that's tough. I don't. I mean, listen, what we saw last year with Bisek in the middle, it was nice. Like I thought he fit more comfortably there then.
When he deleted Moise Ken in that Fiorentina game, completely handled them.
Yeah, and then when you think about too, like, I mean, even the goal that he scored today, he did kind of run up the middle himself.
Yeah.
So maybe he should be in the middle. Yeah, I'm not against it. I just think because I'm so acclimated to seeing him on the right side that I just can't get my mind out on it. But maybe that is the right way to go about it, where you can, have Bisek and Stones in the middle and let Akanji play further out or outright.
Do you think we're watching an Akanji decline? Because the end of last season was not good for him. Today was that first half performance was weird. Just like he seemed completely not focused on the game whatsoever. Some bad passes. Just Varela was giving him a hard time. More decline for you or more?
That's tough because I thought he looked good at the World Cup. But
Yeah.
then again, they were also playing in a back four. So I don't know, maybe he's more comfortable in a back four than he is in a back three. Like, I'll give him a few more games before I say for sure. Maybe let's wait till like match day 5 or 6. And then I can say for sure if I think it's a decline. Yes, I agree. I thought after maybe February or early March is when you started to see his play decline last season. And yeah, this first one obviously gets turned by Varela there. So it's possible, but yeah, I thought he had a good World Cup. So like, I don't know. I'd be kind of surprised if that is the issue. I mean, I remember last year, given the performances, that I wasn't too confident about picking up the option to bring him from City. Glad we did now, in especially when you look at the depth and the fact that we didn't sign a marquee center back, or we weren't able to get the Cuti Romero deal done. So yeah, it's let's wait. Let's hold off on that one before I say for sure.
Do you think Josep Martinez's aggressiveness opened the door at all to a conversation about Provedel going in there? Some would argue he should have done better on the goal that Monza scored. It went just under his hand. I think from the replay, I think there's a chance he could have gotten to it. It felt like he was getting down a little slow, but then there were a couple passing opportunities where he could have done better with, and he got a little risky with it. Do you think that door's open at all? Was it always open?
I don't think it was open. I don't think it is open. I do think that he did take a couple of unnecessary risks. I thought the one where he waited too long and Varela nearly, stripped it from him, that was like what are you doing? It was right after I forget the goalkeeper for Monza. He's Nacho or something like that.
Pizzignacco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I think after whatever. After he gave up it was kind of a weak attempt on clearing on the Zielinski goal. Then you have Joseph make that near mistake that could have led to an equalizer as well. I know some people were panicking when he came way out and played the ball, but then he played a beautiful ball over the top to Lautaro that was just out of his reach. So I don't know. I think it's a kind of a double-edged sword, right? Like, you either don't like him at all and you play like you're going to have zero risks, but then I think you're going to expose yourself to people being able to come in clean on goal. And then it's like, are you going to be confident enough for him to make the one-on-one? I mean, I would be personally, but I don't think I want to negate something that is somewhat of a strength for him. Look, he's not Andre Onana with the ball at his feet. I think we could all agree on that. He was a one-of-one, but he's also not Handanovic or even Sommer with it. He is much more secure. Do I think he takes unnecessary risks? Yes. But I think that's something that you can coach out of him. Like, this is really his first full season where he's going in as the number one. he hasn't really been able to have these opportunities. So I know last year he had one game maybe where he did the same type of thing where it was a bit of an unnecessary risk that almost got him into trouble. But then you look at the game against Como in the Coppa Italia where he had massive saves, where Como could have really put the game out of reach for us, gone up 3-0, 4-0 themselves. So I'm not thinking that Provedel has, you know, an opportunity to unseat him. I think that Provedel knows that he is the number 2. I think that he's happy with that. He is happy to be here. So I don't think that, you know, unless an injury happens, then that changes things, of course. But yeah, I think this is still Josep Martinez's opportunity. And I think the fair thing to do is give him the full season. And if it isn't, you know, a good showing, or he doesn't give you, you know, any type of confidence, you could either go into next year and let Provedel be the number 1 for a season, which wouldn't be ideal, but fine. Or, you know, maybe there's an opportunity to try to get, I mean, I don't know if I'd want to deal with them, but, you know, you can consider maybe going after Carnesecchi, or maybe if things don't go well for Roma, maybe you go after Svilar next year. Like, who knows what can happen? Not that I'm hoping for Martinez to fail, but I'm just saying that if you have to give him, in my opinion, the full year to then fully assess where you are with him.
Yeah, I also think that he is actively trying to impress. And I think he knows one of his more impressive attributes is his feet. So he was trying to do maybe a little bit too much with his feet, and maybe he should take the safe option, maybe more often than he was doing. I also think like him starting here, what's going to tell us a lot is whether or not Provedel gets a start in one of the next few matches, because then it might indicate that this thing is a little bit more open and Kibu doesn't necessarily trust Joseph.
Fair.
But because you also don't want to get into a position, and I think that that's what Kibu wants to avoid last year, where you start, like if there's a howler and then you immediately bench the player, it's like it kind of sends a message, like it that could break a player mentally. And I don't want to see that happen at all. I'm okay with, as of right now, I'm okay with Pep being the starting goalkeeper and Provedel being the Coppa Italia keeper. And maybe just, you know, 1 or 2 matches here in Serie A if they need to. But nothing about his performance is alarming. I think he is just a riskier keeper. It's just the nature of his game is that he's a riskier keeper. I also think as a shot stopper, that goal that, you know, Monza scored today, I don't think that that's indicative of how good his shot stopping is. I think it was like,
Not at all.
honestly, I think it kind of surprised him how quickly Varela got around Akanji and how quickly the shot got on him. That's
Yeah,
how
I think so
saw it.
too. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like, again, look at the saves that he did make in point blank opportunities, in where he looked like he would easily be beaten. Look at his season where he was the number 1 at Genoa. He was literally dragging them to either 1 point, all 3 points. The guy is a phenomenal shot stopper, and I think that, you know, like you said, being surprised by that chance and the fact that Varela was able to get around, I think that's all it is. I think anybody would have been surprised in truth, unless, you know, I think the only person who maybe is able to get that, and it's because he's taller, is Donnarumma. I think that might have been the only one that is able to really get to that ball in that instance. You know, maybe you can make a case for Carnesecchi, but it is what it is. I'm again not going to be putting any blame on him on that goal. So yeah.
Okay, here's the next. This was maybe the one that I feel most not worried about, but I don't think people are necessarily understanding how close we may be to this happening. I thought the midfield died out pretty early in this game. Barella looked like he was tired. Like he looked like he was a second slower than we're used to seeing. Like the reaction time, the, you know, decision making on whether or not to play a pass or how he was going to play a pass. Hakan gassed out early, but I also think that's kind of a preseason thing coming back from the World Cup, and he's still probably not super fit. Zielinski was the most fit of the midfielders, or, you know, at least it looked like it today. But a couple things. One, do you think it's possible that we see one of or both Barella or Hakan losing their like penciled into the starting role position this year? knowing at least that Sucic and Jones are bringing an amount of quality onto the pitch that, like, this is probably Barella's most competitive year in terms of who's competing for with minutes since he's been at Inter.
I don't think so. And I only say that because there's going to be plenty of opportunities to go around for everybody. So I don't think it's really going to like play into that. I think we're going to want to truly compete on all three fronts. So I think that you're going to have the opportunity to rotate more. And now that you have actual depth, not bums like Mkhitaryan and Fratesi as being your first choices off the bench, where you can look over and see a Sucic, a Curtis Jones, an Alexander Stankovic, and feel like, all right, like I could actually start all three of those guys and rest my three older players and feel good about it. Like, I don't think that we would be too concerned with that. So if that is like the starting three for the next match, right? Like, I think we'd be like, yo, that's awesome. But
I think we're closer to Barella being in the regista stage of his career than people might think.
And that's fine. Like, I'm not upset with that. Like, but I also don't think, like, I thought he looked like the best midfielder all preseason.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, that's why he looked sharp. He looked quick. I think it's different in a sense too. When you get back to Italy and the humidity is the way it is, and it's like right at the end of summer, it is a little bit harder to feel your best. Like, the air is thicker. It feels heavier. Like, you're sweating like crazy. You're not getting fluids in as quickly. So you're not really able to get as charged up. And I know that they do typically, I mean, I shouldn't say I know. In Las Vegas, we would have electrolyte packs for the players that they could scarf down. They could have stuff on the bench that they can grab to kind of get back in and get a little bit more of an energy boost. I would assume a Serie A club has the same things at their disposal. So, I mean, yeah, you could do that all you want, but if it's still like a hot, heavy day, it's going to take a little bit, you know, especially for guys who have that many miles on their legs and that many minutes played. I'm not going to look too much into that. I agree that they didn't look themselves. They didn't look fantastic. I mean, even Zielinski looked a little, you know, not as sharp as we saw him all last season.
In that first half. The second half, he like came alive, but that first half.
Yeah, and the second half, in that first half, he just looked like, you know, if he got even just breathed on, he got pushed off the ball. So I'm just going to look at it as just, it's the first game of the year, summer's ending. I'm going to show grace.
Johnny, very positive from you today. I'm very, this is nice. This is a nice little.
Hey, listen, you know, some people didn't like the negativity in the summer, and that's fine. I know I was negative and I was upset with things, but, you know, I could also be objective and recognize when things, you know, like, I'm not going to say the world is ending. Sucic is got to step in, like, sell Barella and hot. Like, that's not the attitude I have either. I mean, look at the goal that he scored, and, you know, and Barella is one of my favorite players, so maybe I am going to be a little blinded to some things, but yeah, he wasn't sharp today as we saw in the preseason either. So, but I still think that it's just because it's the first game and things are, you know, whether it can be a factor in that, people.
All right, last thing. This is half Mercato, half what we saw today in the game. So, a couple days ago, some journalists in Spain are talking about Barcelona being interested in Lautaro, and even that there's been contacts with Lautaro's agent, which, by the way, guys, not something to freak out about. Like,
yeah, that's normal.
That's normal. Like, somebody calls, especially if someone calls an agent, the agent's not going to hang up the phone on Barcelona, not ruin a relationship, especially like he's got other players in his stable. So that's just not realistic. There was a Barca reporter who was saying that a deal had been struck between the player and Barcelona. That guy, like, go look at his timeline. He's a shill for Barcelona. He's been like, he's just not, that's not like a journalist. That's a shill. But either way, you know, Kivu gets asked about it in the press conference. Some Inter fans weren't too happy with the way that Kivu went about it. I thought Kivu was just answering like the politically correct way. There's not really much he can say. Like, he said the Mercato's a bastard, and I don't think that necessarily means, oh, he's worried. I think it means more so like, yeah, this is the kind of shit that we have to deal with. You know, a few days left in the Mercato, somebody talking about taking our captain away. He did emphasize Lautaro's the captain. Beppe Marotta, before the game starts, says absolutely no way we are selling Lautaro this summer.
And even if you look at it like logically, right? Like, yes, the offer sounds great. The number sounds fantastic, but you're not going to find a player of his caliber for that price, or definitely not for cheaper. It's going to be more like, think about it, right? Like, if not that Barcola is a striker, but if Liverpool is offering, I think, what were they offering? Like 110, 115? And
140, I think. 130 to
I thought 140 was a demand. I thought they were offering 115.
Oh, that's probably true.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, all right, so that's what you have to shell out for a player who, yes, is pacier, but I think he's a lesser of a goal scorer than Lautaro. And obviously he's not a striker, he's a winger. But like, that's what you'd be looking at in that price range is what I'm trying to get at. You're not going to find a player like him. So like, it doesn't make sense like to sell him, even if you think it the finances are fantastic. Sure, yeah, but what are you gonna go do? Try to buy Julian Alvarez? They're gonna want like 150.
There's no time to do anything.
Yeah, there's no time.
He's your leader.
Nobody,
it's not just a striker. Like, he is your captain.
Yeah, like you, it just doesn't make sense. I was never worried about it, to be honest. Like, honestly, it would have had to have been a stupid offer, like a $200 million offer, for me to be like, that's kind of hard to not listen to at that point. But yeah, not a concern. Agree with you. Key will handle it the diplomatic way. Beppe didn't, shy away from it, or didn't really confirm it or make it seem like it was like a legitimate threat by any means. And Lauti doesn't seem to be pushing for it either. So
this is my question, tying it into the game. Lauti posted yesterday a graphic, with him heading into Monza. I took that as like, because he hasn't spoken about, he hasn't put out like any statement or anything like that, which I also don't think that he needs to justify these rumors or needs to say anything. He's always been, a certain kind of way with the fans, and I don't think he needs to say like, I'm staying for sure. But he posted that graphic, and then today, he looked very, very serious. Like, there wasn't like that's how he usually looks, but he looked very, very serious. And then on the pitch, he looked a little like agitated. Like, he was getting agitated with the referee, which I think he had reason to get agitated. He was working super hard, but I don't know. Did you feel like there was anything bleeding into his demeanor before the match, his demeanor during the match, his performance? Did you pick up on anything in that regard?
No, not me. I mean, but also I don't think I was really paying attention to it like that. So I can't really like say 100%. Maybe if I went back and watched, I thought that he was just being a captain with the way he approached the referees and was getting agitated with things not being called in their favor and stuff, which I think is just normal from any captain. And I think when you're on match day one, you're trying to get maybe like set the tempo in the favoritism a little bit and seeking that out, that you get those calls earlier. That way you can kind of have that rapport with the referees in future matches, and kind of, maybe you get those calls later on as well. So that's all I saw of it. I thought that, Monza was playing just a little aggressive with him, and maybe that's another thing that was kind of weighing on him or bothering him. But yeah, I don't look at it, the situation, being like an underlying factor at all.
Yeah. All right, those are my storylines for today. I think we did a good job to bounce back after kind of a low first half. Bangers today. Hakan's was a banger. Pio's back heel. Bisek's goal, it did take a little deflection, but that was a banger as well. Obviously, the Zielinski goal was, a bit of fortune, but good on him to put the ball on target the way that he did. So let's just jump into a few of the players that we haven't talked about. Off the bench, Stankovic, first minutes, 12 of 13 passing. He only got 10 minutes. I don't know if there was anything from his performance that you thought was discussion worthy.
Yeah, I mean, more passes completed than Fratesi in his last 6 matches, probably. So
he was involved.
That's impressive. Which it just goes to show you that a midfielder can get on the ball if they are actually talented. So crazy. Also, side note, just one last shot at Fratesi. I don't know if anyone saw that Milanista fan who put out, everyone's Serie A content creators' hot takes. But there was a certain Laziale on that who said his hot take is that Fratesi will score double-digit goals. I will shave my head live on the podcast if Fratesi gets double-digit goals in the league. I will shave my head if he gets 10 goals. Okay? There.
Something tells me it's not going to happen.
That's all I'm going to say about that. That was probably the worst hot take, honestly, out of all the hot takes on there.
There's been some bad videos. Now the videos are all coming out because of the start of the season, and some content creators are something
are
else.
putting
Anyway.
some really bad takes out there. But anyway, that I'll digress from that. Love that, the energy that he got from his first minutes at the San Siro, obviously wearing that number. It's so cool to see his son be able to step in. I don't think, well, definitely not in my lifetime, but there hasn't been a father-son duo where they've been able to, one, be at the same club, wear the same jersey number. I think that's just such a cool thing to have happen. I'm sure that felt like a great pride moment for him. I'm sure Decky felt the same way, being able to see his son run out there and play. And look, I know like some people are there's like rumors going on that, he might go out on loan or this. Not happening. Please don't believe everything that you see. I'm excited to see the impact that he could have
in the midfield. We need it, especially because the Hakan, Zielinski, and Barella are older midfielders. Like we definitely
exactly. It makes no sense to loan him out because then your other option is Henrik Mkhitaryan, who is the oldest midfielder. So like it just doesn't make sense. Loved it. Happy for him. That's another one that I'm gonna want to watch this season and hopefully he'll be able to carve out some big minutes and score some big goals for us like he did for Bruges in the Champions League.
Yeah. I just wanted him to get some minutes today. I didn't really care about anything else, although I do think your point about him being more involved than Fratesi in 10 minutes is interesting. And Mkhitaryan's suspension, so neither of them was... Fratesi's no longer here and Miki was suspended. It was kind of nice that our midfield options off the bench were like Sujic, Ankovic. They were
so nice.
Yeah, it should be that way moving forward. It really should.
Yeah.
But anyway, Luis Enrique still on the team, get some minutes. Do you think that is a indication of his transfer status? He got a big hug from Kivu before getting onto the pitch. Any thoughts there?
I mean, I don't think it's anything that confirms that he's definitely not going. I mean, maybe he doesn't, but Roma did, or at least reports said that Roma were waiting closer to the end of the window to decide if they're going to pull the trigger on him or pursue somebody else. But I think
loan with obligation, which is
don't like that. Then at that point, you might as well keep him. But when you think about Kivu as a manager and the way that he cares about the people, the person, more so than he cares about the play and stuff, I think that embrace and everything was more so just him wanting him to have a good cameo, wanting him to feel confident going into it. I don't think that he really cared about the performance itself. I just think he wanted him to feel positivity towards him. So not gonna overthink it one way or another. It's just the character that he is as a manager, and that's something I will say that I love about Christian Kivu is the way that he focuses on the person more so than the play itself.
John Stone's debut comes on. He doesn't get much time. I think he came on in the 75th minute, so he gets about 15 minutes and change. Was there anything about his game that you noticed that you are making any judgment calls on, or that you would make any judgment calls on?
No, I'm not. Again, a cameo. He's only been with the team, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe. Like, I'm not. He's had, 12 training sessions, with the club maybe in that time. I'm not overthinking it or worrying about it too much. I think he really only had a few minutes with Inter actual playing before this match. So it's like, yeah, he scored a goal and that's fantastic. I think he put himself in a good position there, but it's going to take a little bit to go into it. You're switching from playing in a back four system typically, which sometimes could morph into a back three depending on how Guardiola wanted it. But now he is going to be playing primarily in a back three in the center of it, which is, I think, a very cerebral position when you really think about it. Like, you're not just having to have the physical abilities. You have to be a thinker and have to be able to dictate things and call things out. And you're kind of the almost like I don't want to say the quarterback per se, but you do see the whole field and you see what's coming. You can kind of be directing your left center back, your right center back and stuff. So I think it's just settling in. That's going to take a little bit of time. There was one instance where he was near the end line and didn't really, play the ball well to
Yeah.
Josep Martinez.
Yeah.
I think that's just more so a not expecting the game to have been that fast, or for Monza to be pressing like that late in the match, more so than anything. So I'm not going to be, worrying too much about it myself.
There was one track down run that he made that I thought he looked a little less explosive than I was expecting. I'm not expecting him to be a super explosive player, but just something that I noticed. It could be nothing. I think it was that he thought that the Monza player was offside. He did end up being offside, so I don't know if he just kind of slowed up his run, but either way, just something to keep an eye on. We haven't talked about Bastoni and Di Marco. I thought they both had like okay games. I don't think there's much to talk about from either of their games today.
No, there really isn't. So yeah, I'm not gonna say anything one way or another because there wasn't really much to say.
Bisek, I thought it was great.
Yeah, great to see. Confidence obviously booming. He was making a lot of runs forward, which I'm okay with because he is good with the ball at his feet. He is good at being able to take shots and find space in the box. So yeah, love the performance from him. I do think now that you said it, I do think that the center might be the way to go because if you have, guys on the outside who are, pretty good with pace, that might be the option there. So
like Akanji and Pavard's pace plays better
on the right.
Yeah. As opposed to, but it takes away a little bit from Bisek's game because you would imagine the wide center back has more opportunities to get forward.
Yeah. So it could be a thing where they kind of like morph and overlap and interchange with one another, and maybe that's where he's able to take advantage of those exploits.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an open question for Kivu to figure out along the season. I don't think it's quite settled. Over under 95% passing rating for Jan Bisek today.
I don't think you would have asked this if it was under, so I'm going to say over.
You're right. 97%, 64 of 66, 16 of 17
disgusting.
In the opposition half, 48 of 49 in his own half, and 2 for 2 on long balls. So, and that's great for him. I mean,
that's class B second Bauer right there.
Yeah.
So,
and obviously the goal. So,
and you know what I hear when you tell me those numbers and he scores a goal?
What do you hear?
Cha-ching! Like somebody wants to come next summer. It's gonna cost you, big boy. You got that extension.
Can we say that 40 million that's being discussed is not even close?
Not enough.
No.
Not enough. If he continues the way he started, I think that has to start with a 7.
I think there's an argument for him to be one of the most valuable center backs in Serie A. Like anyone coming into the league, but the combination.
Not just Serie A. I genuinely think in Europe, if he continues to develop the way he has been, he is like when he's focused defensively, he is tough to beat. He's tough to get around. He's strong in the air. When he wants to go forward, or when he's on set pieces on corners, or when he wants to take shots or dribble, like he is a really, really good player. It's just, can he put it together over the course of a full season? That's what's really going to be the important thing. I think that this is the year that's going to be telling of that. Not saying it's make or break. I think we can confirm that obviously with the extension, he's already made it. But I think that if you're able to get those things ironed out over the course of a whole season, maybe, like if you're a success 33 out of 38 games, that's fantastic. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Not saying that I want to sell him, but I'm just saying like the only way that, an offer has to come in, that's actually worth something. None of this $35-40 million offers.
Yeah. All right, great start from Inter in the league. I apologize, guys. It's been a while. I forgot to do my pre-match, halftime, and full-time tweets to get the listener questions. I apologize. It'll be coming back next time.
Wow.
No worries. Apologies for
Before,
that.
if you were gonna try to like end this now, before we do, I do kind of want to do like I think four questions before we go. All right.
Okay.
So what's your give me your top four prediction.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first one.
Yeah.
And then your Serie A MVP, your capocannoniere, and your breakout player.
Okay.
And it could be if you wanted to just be no, let's do it like for the league. Let's do it for the league, not just Inter specific. Unless you want to pick Inter players, but
No, we can do it for the league. My top four is going to include Spalletti's year two Juventus. I know they haven't strengthened much this offseason, but I just been saying it since the end of last year, and I'm sticking to it. I think they're going to be improved this season, so they'll be in top four. My other top four team is going to be Milan. I know that there's a lot of doubts around Ruben Amorim, and I have those doubts as well. But I think that there's a lot of talent on that team, and especially if they get rid of Leao, and they don't have to worry about that being an issue. I think that they'll make top four. I think Roma is going to get in as well to the top four. I think they were much better last year than I expected them to be. And a full season of Malen is really the reason why I put them in there, because I think he's going to be the capocannoniere this year.
okay.
He's going to be the capocannoniere this year, and that's not a disrespect to Lautaro or anything like that.
No, I just think he is the focus, and we have too many mouths to feed. That's the way I look. Yeah, so like we're just gonna probably cannibalize ourselves.
Exactly right. And I also, in giving you that top four, am also basically saying that I don't think Como or Napoli are going to be what a lot of people are talking about them being. So I think Allegri is I don't see his style of football improving. I just don't see it. So there's that, and then Como I think is going to take a step back. They've added some interesting young players. They've added some veterans, but they are missing players that are right now in their prime. Nico Paz is obviously a great player. Martin Baturina is obviously a great player, but they are missing a lot of players that are Inter signing the likes of Curtis Jones, Jed Spence for a reason. Those are players enter in their prime, right now, ready to go to win a title kind of players. And I don't think Como has really that on their team, so I'm not expecting that. And then breakout, I think, is going to be Curtis Jones. I'm just super jazzed about this player. I think he's going to be. I don't know, man. I'm really, really excited for him. Really, really excited.
Okay. No. I hate that you took him. So I was gonna try to do that, but that's okay. I did have a backup plan. So, I agree with your top four, honestly, and it's actually I don't agree with Milan. I'm going with a potentially crazier pick.
I already know.
But I think who?
Fiorentina.
No. Actually, I'm not a believer. I'm not buying the hype. I'm actually going to say Atalanta, and here's why. I actually believe in Maurizio Sarri. I think that this talent-wise is the best team that he's had since his last season at Napoli. When I look at all the pieces that he has guys like, I think Zalewski's going to be a star in his system. I think Scamacca, if he stays healthy, will be hugely beneficial. I like bringing in Elmas. I mean, we know that Sarri appreciates the player, so obviously that's why you get a guy like him. Carnesecchi is, potentially the best keeper in the league. I think that makes up for some deficiencies if you have off days. And I think that this will be a good one, a good test for them. But I also think that Como is going to take a step back. I think that they really needed a legitimate goalkeeper to be brought in and a legitimate striker, like a real finisher. Like Dubicas had a nice season last year. I don't see him being replicating those same numbers. And, like what if Nico Paz takes a step back or something, or teams really learn how to game plan for him specifically to negate him because he is, as he goes, Como goes, really. So like if you take him out, are they able to still put in the same? And they got to focus on European football as well, which I'm sure their ownership's going to want them to be progressing in. So, maybe that takes away from the league. I agree. Napoli, I think, is going to be a massive flop. So I think Atalanta will be fourth. I'll say Juve will be third, Roma second. And because I don't know if I will go with Malin for my capocannoniere. I think that I will. Sadly, I'm going to be boring and stick with Lautaro. I think that still there's going to be a way that he still gets over 22 goals somehow. And Malin would really, and if you think about it, Malin would have to have an amazing season to really put that to shame or in some way. But so yeah, I'll go with that. And I think breakout player, since you took Curtis Jones, I'm gonna go with Mora at Roma. I think that he's gonna be I think he's a really good signing for them.
Yeah.
Huh?
Super
talented for sure. And I think that that a guy like Gasperini will be able to get the best out of him and really use his strengths to fit into that. I think he's going to play that kind of Papu Gomez type role for them, and he'll be able to be extremely successful with it. If they are going to keep performing at the levels they have been. So that'll be the case. Oh, and then Inter repeat as Scudetto champions. Of course, I didn't say that, but.
I didn't say it either, but that's more superstitious. And I also think on the Mora front, people that are like, oh, well, if he's this wonder kid, why did Porto let him go? And for the figure that he let him go, again, probably people not really familiar with Farioli. He's a lot more of a physically demanding players are the ones that are going to play, and that's just not really Mora's game. And they would have been happy to keep him. It's just that he wasn't going to play the level that he thought he was going to be playing, just in terms of the number of matches. So that's really why that marriage didn't really work out. I have one more thing I want to show everyone, but before we do that, just really quick, some interesting results around Europe today. I want to get your thoughts on anything to say for, let's just start with Udinese and Como tying 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think Udinese is a lot better than people give them credit for. Their coach is one of the more underrated managers, I think,
agree.
in Serie A. Like, I feel like he gets a lot. They lost players that would be considered, probably backbreakers for other managers had they stayed there. Specifically, like, let's say Sotil was still there, right? Like, I think that would have been something that would have cost, losing a player like Atta, losing Christensen, and I forget who else now. My mind's kind of slipping, but yeah, still think that that's a great move or a great result for them. And I think, look, that's kind of telling of what, like, that's a game where Como would have had to win if they really wanted to keep their not that the season's decided in match day one, but it's like you want to start good. That way you can have maybe a January lull or something where if you draw the first match, you're already behind the 8 ball, because now let's say Juve win and Milan win, although Milan's got a tough match with Torino, so it's
you guys playing Fiorentina. That's also
so like it's I mean,
Napoli is tied 0-0 with Genoa at halftime, and apparently Genoa has been the better team in that first half. So,
I mean, listen, this could be a great first weekend for Interisti. So
we were tied at halftime as well. I'm not gonna talk too much.
No, it doesn't change. Yeah, of course, things can happen, but Napoli, like, Allegri doesn't instill confidence. If it's 0-0, I don't feel like he's the manager who can inspire a goal in the second half. So.
One more thing before we dive into something that we want to push to the fans here, give them the opportunity to check out. Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur lost a combined 5-0 to Hull and Brentford. Anything to say in that regard? Tottenham Hotspur spending almost $2 million on Marmoush and Savinho.
Yeah, all that money spent on those two players.
Lost $100 million on Tonali,
and then I was gonna say, and then let's not forget Tonali, And then, you give all these things to De Zerbi, who I think is one of the more mercurial managers in the sense that sometimes he looks like a genius and other times he looks like utterly clueless. And I've always been more of a fan of Farioli than De Zerbi, and people try to say that Farioli is a De Zerbi disciple. I disagree wholeheartedly. And you see a match like this against Brentford.
Farioli's teams do not lose 3-0. They just don't.
No, they don't. And I think he only lost one game in the league all last season, if I'm not mistaken, and they were undefeated through February, definitely January. But I mean, yeah. Anyway, and Man United. Listen, I thought giving Michael Carrick the reins was a poor choice. I still think you needed to get a legitimate manager. Not saying that he's not capable, but he again doesn't have the experience and bringing in a club legend. It's always pressure when you bring in a club legend. I mean, look at Kibu. I mean, some people had him being fired by Christmas, but
they've done it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and they continue to do that to their own club legends, quote unquote, and it just shoots them in the foot. And they bring in the wrong guys, whether it's an Eric Ten Hag, whether it's a Louis van Gaal, whether it's Amorim,
Solskjaer.
It's just. Well, yeah, Solskjaer was keeping in the legends category, but they get it wrong every time. And that would have been a situation where maybe you do try to go after a guy like a Farioli and try to see if you're able to sway him. I don't think he would have left because of the control he's able to have at Porto, and I mean from top to bottom. So yeah, it was a poor choice, but losing to a club that was recently promoted 2-0 and Hull
outcoached. I watched that game. Thoroughly outcoached.
And then Hull just was still going for it. They weren't just all right, we're up 2, sit back. No, they were trying to get a third. Which respect to them for that performance. And yeah, I think if you're a Spurs fan, buckle up because you're probably going to be looking for a new manager probably by Christmas as well, if I'm being totally honest.
They spent a lot to back him, and this was not the start.
Not the start you want to see. And
they brought in Jean-Paul Van Henke. They brought in Mateus Fernandez. I
think a lot of the players that they brought in aren't really good fits for what De Zerbi really wants. So if he asked for them, that makes no sense in my opinion. I really don't think Savinho is a type of player that would excel for him. I just don't.
Well, I know for sure one thing about Savinho is that he's not worth 100 million euros. That is, I think the conversation can end there.
Yeah, and the fact, look, I'm disappointed with some things regarding Piero Ausilio. I will give him credit where credit's due, especially you were able to get Curtis Jones, Jed Spence for less than what was spent on Savinho.
Yeah,
that's incredible. And then if you look at the midfielders who have moved within the EPL, specifically, let's say Elliot Anderson, right, to get Curtis Jones for 35 when he goes for over 120.
It's a different situation, but it's still a huge gap. That's
huge.
Ridiculous.
Yes, and you can't look. I've seen people which I don't know why, but people shitting on the Curtis Jones signing because they didn't want him, they don't like him for whatever reason. You watch him play, that is a very technical footballer who can provide goals, who can score goals. He can dribble himself out of danger. You're gonna tell me for 35 million that bothers you? Given the way the market moves, you're upset about a Curtis Jones signing? What did you want?
I just think people also need to understand the concept of adding really talented players is not even if you feel you're too deep at that position, you have other holes and you have other things to fill. You get a good enough player for that value. It feels like it's worth it. Johnny, do you want to tell the fans about what is up here on our screen right now?
So, I mean, I hope I know Aunt Pharaoh was saying that he wasn't able to order this shirt, but we did actually make the Fagioli and Focaccia t-shirts I did order it. I didn't just get it for free because I had to pay for my own shirt. Like,
Looks
whatever. I'm not mad about it. It looks sick. I love the design. We got our little, and I made sure it was Comfort Colors t-shirts. Listen, I don't know if most of my t-shirts are Comfort Colors. They don't really shrink, which is why I love them. Like, you could dry them, you could wash them. I used a specific type of screen printing called DTF, which is like direct to fabric, but it's a flex style. So like, as long as you dry it inside out, it should be okay. I mean, all the notes on like how to take care of the shirt properly are on there. If you don't dry them and you hang them up to dry it, which is fine, like that's good too. Then really don't have to worry about it. But made the shirts, $32. I mean, they're made to order, so it's not like we're making a profit. It's really just to cover our costs on the shirts. And yeah, like they ship all over the country, they say. If you try to order it and you have issues, please let me know. I did check. I mean, it worked for me. Maybe, I don't know, maybe because I'm in the US, maybe that's why it worked, but it says it's set for worldwide on both this and their, like, I checked on Square Online, which is where this is listed at, and I checked on our company, the company Printful, which is the ones who are making the shirts, and they're the ones who are actually handling the shipping. It is set to worldwide as well. So if you're in Australia, if you're in Sweden, England, Italy, Canada, any of the U.S. territories like Puerto Rico or stuff, or any of the Virgin Islands, or I know Kirby's in Trinidad. If you're ordering and you have an issue, please let me know. If it worked and you did order it too, let me know. I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious if people are loving it, are interested in it, whatever. I think it's a cool shirt. I think it's something different. And yeah, I wanted to be able to do something that was unique and kind of funny with the beans and toast. Even though obviously focaccia isn't toast, but I just thought it sounded better.
No, it works. It works as a whatever you call it. Comparison, whatever it is.
Yeah. So like, and we got our little logo, our podcast logo on the sleeve there. I just wanted to throw that on too.
Looks great.
Yeah.
I love it a lot.
I'm excited I can't wait till mine comes. So I think mine, like they say, it takes like 3 to 5 days to make, and then another like 2 to 3 days to ship. Well, if you're in the US, another 2 to 3 days to ship out to you. So yeah, let me know. Yep. I would love it if people order them, just because I think it's cool. It's something different. Obviously, if you want to get your jerseys and that's more important to you, I'm not going to be upset, because it's not like, this isn't like the jerseys we made where I shelled out the money and I needed to recoup money. These, like, if you don't order them, that's up to you. I'm not going to be upset. I ordered mine. I'm through. Like, I wanted it for me at the very least. So like,
yeah, they're sick.
I'm not going to be upset if nobody orders them.
But you should order them. All right.
But you should. Yeah, you should. If you like, because it's a cool, it's our 3 English guys now.
This will not be the last time you hear from us today. I believe we're going to be on with Inter Worldwide later today.
Yes, we are.
So you can catch us there if you need more Gianni and Ale content. Congrats to Inter starting the season well. Congrats to Nima on your new hairline. And in the words of the Roberto Scarpini, Forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi, forza ragazzi.